Welcome to the Fence and Deck Mastery Podcast, where we discuss cutting-edge techniques, industry trends, and business insights to take your fence or deck company to the next level and dominate your competition. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fence and Deck Mastery Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Danner, and also the owner and founder of Fence and Deck Marketers, a digital marketing agency that works exclusively with fencing and decking businesses. And today I have a great episode that I'm excited for. I have Alex Larson, the owner of TL Decks in Illinois, and Alex has seen a lot of success. He's a young guy, seen a lot of success early in his life, and has grown TL Decks and is doing some really great things. So I'm looking forward to unpacking all that and going through it. So Alex, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. We're recording the day after Christmas. It'll probably post it later than that, but appreciate you showing up. How's it going, man?
Good. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Alex and I are part of, I know if you listen to the podcast regularly, I've mentioned, I've had some guests on here that were part of LDX and part of Chris Breen's group. And Alex is also part of a group with me. So we've been in, I think I joined probably 3 or 4 months ago, but, haven't really had a chance to talk with Alex except for, I guess we talked about hunting for a while and, some whitetail hunting for a bit, but that was kind of it. So, I wanted to get him on here and I could learn, figure we better just talk and then we can record it and, have a podcast for it and, learn about his business and see how it can help everybody listening too. So, Alex, if you could just start off and kind of, I guess, introduce yourself, maybe just tell your story and kind of how you, I guess, got to the point where you started TL Decks and, I guess your experience before there, how it all came together.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks for having me on, Alex. This is cool. Definitely experience I'm looking forward to. So I started, my dad was in construction. He was a painter. So I've been around homes and construction my whole life. Started out waking up in the morning to the job site, hanging out on the weekends, things like that. So It's always been in my blood to just kind of tinkering with fixing stuff around the house, putting things together, working with saws. Throughout life, or as I started to grow up, had odd and end jobs, farmhand, worked in a kitchen, stuff like that, power sports shop. And it wasn't until a buddy of mine really started working with furniture that I had the day-to-day to work on saws or tinker or sanding, whatever he needed to help with. I was learning right along. Now, he was tenfold to me in his craft by then, but that's really what dragged me in. In college, I actually worked for a decking company. And 3 years into a 2-year community college, I was like, I don't think this is for me. So I went in full time, worked for a deck company, fell in love with absolutely construction as a whole at that point, from the foundation to the framing to the details to dealing with clients. I had no one right there. I was like, I always wanted to do something. First, I wanted to be a chef, open my own restaurant. And then it slowly became, this is my calling. So I got the call one day to a union company, and I did work with Walsh Construction for a couple years doing bridges. Jumped from there doing doors in Chicago, anything you can drive or walk through, basically. So that became right at that point right there was I started taking on side work as AL carpentry was my first little side gig. Got some t-shirts made, some business cards, and took off friends, family, really what kept some stuff busy on the weekends. And fast forward to 2021, middle of the pandemic, side work's flowing like crazy because everybody wants to be outdoors. We did a little bit of everything at that point. So some kitchens, some bathrooms, trims, siding, windows. Decks was my main calling. So we were doing that. And then in April of 21, I said, I've got a whole summer's worth of weekends to do this. So I just want to quit my job. I'm tired of working for the union. I'm tired of working for the people there. It's a great space when you're at the right company, doing the right thing, but I currently wasn't at that. So I said, let's get out of this. Let's start something and see what happens. So the wife was ready for me to go back to the union as that would pick up. I said, no, we're good. And the 3 months of weekend work turned into 3 full months of work. So I honestly didn't know where that was going to come from. And fast forward to today, We are TL decks growing from Thayer Lynn Carpentry. We grew from AL Carpentry when we decided to open things up. We had a lot of people asking, what else do you do besides decks? And we slowly realized that decks on outdoor spaces is all we do. So switching the name, and here we are almost a year later with a new name, and I'm chatting with you.
Nice. Okay. So would you say you kind of had that burn to have your own business, like when you're younger, like growing up, or you're just kind of like, yeah, let's see what happens, and it kind of lucked into it? Or, I mean, how would you say it?
I think, right, that first thought that came to my head was I'd watch my parents work 2 to 3, sometimes 4 jobs to make ends meet as divorced parents. So I grew up that way. I had 2 to 3 jobs at any given point from 14 up till when I was 28. And I said no more of that. When I got married, it was busy. I had my first kid. I was busy, and I wasn't at home. And all I wanted to do was make money, make us a better life.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't. It wasn't, to be honest. I was probably taking some of my paychecks to pay for some of the jobs that were considered side work because I was having fun on the weekends.
Yeah.
And it evolved to what is now to be, I guess. So.
Yeah. That's that's great. I mean, well, that's great, I guess, too. My parents were divorced as well, and I seeing, or growing up, I guess, with that, I guess whatever, I guess you kind of grow up with, it's very common to kind of chase that. If your parents are working 2 jobs, you kind of think that's what you need to do, and then now you fast forward to all the success you've had with TL decks, where you got one main gig, and then you also niche down into just decks, and that's what we were just talking about earlier. It's kind of wild how, like, different it is what you think growing up, what it would take, or I don't know, at least that blows my mind. Like, when people ask about fence and deck marketers, most people are like, what? Like, why would you just do marketing for fencing and decking? And when I say it out loud, I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know. It does sound weird to say out loud too, but that's what's led to the growth, the focus and all that stuff. So,
well, to echo that, like, I don't know the numbers which you would be able to say that, but like how many deck builders are in the country. But for me, I would say for the town that we're in, Crystal Lake, there's 70,000 people. If I could get 7,000 of those people in front of 7,000 of those people over the next 20 years and build 700 decks, we're there. So when you start to break things down in numbers like that, it's like, wow, okay, that's why we niche down. I don't need to do everybody's bathroom and their back deck. I just need to do their railing replacement, or maybe their neighbor's back deck. Like it snowballs, and you start to realize that the riches are in the niches. And I don't want to say it as far as like snobby thing, but man, when you can niche down and you don't have 15 5-gallon buckets worth of drywall, electrical, random screws, that right there alone makes your day go better.
Yeah. And training all those different services. I mean, unless you have really good subs, but I mean, that's been proven. Like, all the bigger guy, maybe not everybody, there are some big companies that still do all kinds of stuff at once, but the majority of the guys that, the ones that make, it probably comes down to profit too. You make the most profit when you also niche down like that, but it just simplifies the whole business. You bring guys in and teach them how to build a deck or put up railing, or, if you're doing fencing, whatever, it's, one thing versus, like you said, tearing apart an entire interior and putting in pipes and kitchens, whatever the case may be. So,
and bless those guys that can do it. There's plenty of companies out there that can do it right and do it great. It's just, it's unfortunate. That's the bad ones that make the name for everybody. So,
and usually the ones that are less qualified, or the general contractors that aren't specialized in whatever you hire them for, and that kind of thing.
And the crowd that's going to be listening to this, they should honestly be going, okay, if I'm in the backyard, like I'm looking at your background, fence and deck right there, 2 simple things. If you want to say, I don't want to niche, well, then you got 2 avenues right there. You're not niching. So.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So I guess let's start off the business. So I think you've been in business 5 years. That's right. Or
essentially year 5. Like, well, 2019 is when it all started as far as a side thing. We started actually paying taxes and things like that in 21. So,
Okay. And then right now, do you have Well, how do you do it? Do you have in-house employees? Do you have subcontractors? How does that work? Like how many crews you guys run?
So we're big on in-house crews as far as all of our major work. We do a sub crew for our helical piers and some other landscaping and hardscape like that, if that comes in. But for the most part, I'm true and tried on having.
True. I broke up there for a second. Give me one sec.
So for us with like the crews, having our own in-house crews is really about us being able to control some of the quality. And when I say quality, it's not only about the end product of the deck, it's from day one when the guys show up, we can control that time a little bit. Now, being from Illinois or being in Illinois, I should say, it's different across the states or the 50 states. So with that, in Illinois, a sub crew, we can't tell them what time to show up. We can't tell them exactly what to be doing. We can hand them items and say, we suggest you be here at this time. We'd like to see you work from this time to this time. Now, could we contract that? Yes. But then essentially then they become our employee. So it's, I don't say it's hard to 1099, but it's a little more difficult in Illinois to 1099 a specific crew that only does work for us. Then
Really?
over this last 4 years too, just being confident that we have work for our sub crew or things like that. Because I want to stay loyal. I want guys to be loyal to us in the sense of, hey, we're creating a culture that's a family here. Now I know other companies in the country have created that. We're just new, and it's just the way I've known how to do things, I think. So I'm comfortable that way. Have we burned through some people? Yes, but I feel like that could be that same way with a sub crew as well. But I just I'm about, again, going back to before we hit record, community, treating family. That's our big culture here. Is I want to create something that's you want to be at.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Actually
and
enjoy the work.
and saying that, I can hear somebody tapping on my shoulder going, "It'll work with a sub crew," but I just the way that it's worked so far with us is how I'm comfortable. So,
Gotcha. Okay.
or the detail and controlling the details there, I guess what I should say, like being able to have a little more scrutiny on, hey guys, here's some training. I don't need to tell them to go off to another job because we don't have work. A bunch of small items that in our eyes is why we do it.
Okay. So how many in-house guys do you have then for the company?
Where we've found to be comfortable is 3 guys in the field, and it's a main lead, a carpenter under him, and then a laborer. And that labor is, he might be jumping around to different job sites. He might be on the same site, might be prepping. So that's where we've been comfortable so far. Any more than that, it's too much for a single crew, and we haven't expanded enough to know what it'd be like to have 2 crews. So
Okay. Okay. All right. And then we were talking about this too before that I really wanted to touch on because I think it's something everybody should be looking into. You hired a VA that you've hired. Well, when did you first hire her? Or
yeah, so Christine's been around, I think, or been on the squad now for a little over a year and a half. So I think in the springtime will be 2 years fully with having her around. And we
okay.
found her. I think you asked how we found her. We had found her through.
Yeah, I was curious how you found her too.
Yeah, she's in a local referral group that we're in, and it just made sense to. We had built a relationship with her, meeting with her every week, and we had realized that we needed a service like that. So
Okay. So, all right. So US based, is she around where you were? Is she someone that's, you say she's local? Maybe you said that already.
yeah, and I think that probably helped out a lot. So it's easy to call her a VA, and people think, virtual assistant over the computer somewhere in
Yeah.
some foreign land that we don't know. So that was a big comfort thing for me that she's local. She can answer the phone. She knows the lingo or like just the normalcy of the land where people are. What's cool too is she's able to connect. She's been in the community for 20 plus years. So she had worked at like the local YMCA. She's been in the community doing other things. So it was fun for her to connect with some of her potential clients, and they would bring that up. So that was like a plus for us on the
Yeah.
VA side. So
Okay. So she's answering all the calls too. She picks up everything that comes in.
yeah, unless she goes on vacation, and I let the clients know that call in, and I say, hey, I don't do this anymore, so help me out. And they usually really appreciate that, which is fun because we don't just have every person calling in. A lot of the people that do call in are are fitting the ticket for us, whether it's as far as a culture. So when I haven't answered the phones now for 2 years as far as a regular basis.
Nice. Okay. And then anything else, like she help with estimates, or I mean, what other tasks you have her do?
The list is probably too long for me, honestly, to remember, but essentially now she's submitting permits, handles all that stuff. I get all the planning and stuff ready for her to submit, but she'll fill out all the paperwork for it. She keeps up on all that stuff, so that's been amazing too, just to have a second brain capture some of that. She's handling stuff as far as invoicing, invoice inputting for reps and just like for the programs and stuff like that. She handles all of our, she's working on our CRM right now. So she's learning how to do that and teaching me. She is inputting clients in for meetings and things like that. Everything that I don't want to do, anything I can ask her to do, she is willing to do, which is awesome. So like I said, the list is endless, really. So, and as she grows, she wants to learn more. She wants to be with us, and she wants to take on more tasks that she can be competent in. So it's fun.
Do you still call her VA, or is she like asking for promotions, or like, I don't know, is it like that the long-term goal, I guess, too, or position?
So we actually pulled her away from her VA company. Her daughter is actually taking over her only account that she has there at the moment. She is doing some stuff in the afternoons, but we officially brought her on December 1st, which was supposed to be planned for January 1st. And January 1st now, she's going to be in the office space for 4 hours a day, pulling time there, and then the rest of the time, whatever she may be, because she's always worked from her home. So it's not very hard for her to do things that she needs to do outside of our specific office space. So that's exciting. Like we brought her away. She's competent enough that we have the hours for her. She wants to be here. Again, the culture thing. So it was really fun to like hear her when we offer the position. She essentially was like, "I've been waiting for this." So it was really cool.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you got a winner then. Sounds like she's bought into it all. That's good. And anybody that's listening, like as soon as Alex told me that, I was like, oh, we need to harp on that more, because I did a podcast like very early on when I first got started with somebody that owns a business that, can find VAs for you. They're like a recruiting agency or headhunter, whatever you want to call for VAs.
Yeah.
And I tried to push that pretty hard, because like, I mean, you found somebody that's around you, and that's what you wanted to do, which is great. And depending on who's listening or what everyone's thinking about, you could go that route, or there are a bunch of options, overseas and things like that. But the point being is finding somebody that can handle tasks that you don't want to do, that are easily taught, like just have to be passed on. I mean, you got to get those out of your off your plate, because that's just stunting your growth, or all the time that you need for more higher level problems. You're filling your calendar unnecessarily, basically, too. So highly recommend it.
The aha moment for me was we're at a client's house, and I had answered the phone or was on the phone a normal amount of time that I would be on any job. This job just happened to be a 1-day job. It was still when we were doing a little bit of everything. And she said, the client goes, "I've had a lot of contractors at multiple homes throughout my whole life, and none of them have been on the phone as much as you." And she wasn't saying it so much that it was taking away my time, because we had got things done professionally. I had another guy on site, so he was able to handle things. She said I was very professional on the phone calls, which is super cool. But right there it goes, I said, I can't be doing this anymore. I was 15 feet up on a ladder, some scaffolding inside a person's home, trying to chat with everybody that was calling, reps, current clients, new clients. Really, that was the biggest thing, is if I can eliminate the 10 potential phone calls I have a day of everybody, we can lead them to our grasshopper phone call. That was huge. So
yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of times where you're in the middle of some problem on the job site, or dealing with something, and the last thing you want to do is pick up a call from a number that you don't recognize. So I mean, I would say most contractors that are answering the calls themselves, most guys will claim to do it perfectly, but most don't. Like everyone's and it's just very easy to put that off. Just
if you
ignore it.
Yeah, sorry. If you want to be in business, you have to answer the phone. I don't know
Yeah.
how there's guys that are in business like, I just don't answer my phone between May and July. Speechless, I guess.
May and July, like the
You know,
busiest months.
yeah, they're like, I'm just too busy on the site. It's like, guys, well, no wonder you're asking for things in the wintertime when you're slow or whatever. I don't want to harp on people, but that's just, I guess, an extreme case of you have to answer your phone if you want to be in business. So if you want to answer your phone, you have to be time away. And if you don't want to have time away, you have to get a VA. That was our first thing, was she at least to answer the phone calls. So, and setting up appointments for me, and just, it was those little things that she started to take over, cleared up time for me to do the things that we needed to do. And then as we started to get the right guys on site, they started to kick me off the site and go, we need you to do the things you need to do so that we could be here next week again. So
Yeah.
again, going back to the culture thing, super fun.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, it's like it can be borderline selfish to like not pass on tasks because people join your company because they want something from their life too. Like they want, well, first off, you're ambitious. Like everyone that listens to this, I'm sure has a pretty high level of ambition, and um, you want to grow your business. And the people that work for you, you want to find those guys that want to grow inside of something too. So if you're not passing on your tasks, you're doing the same things over and over again. How do you expect to grow?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to pass these things off.
Huge realization this year with that.
Yeah.
Huge.
So, and I think, I don't know, that was a good one for me too, because then it does become about someone else, versus like just you're like, oh, whatever, I can do these things. It's not that big a deal. But like once you realize you're affecting other people's lives, we all are not going to be here forever. So you are just ruining, you could end up really affecting somebody else's life too. So,
Yeah.
All right. And then did you see just things like, I mean, the growth, I know you're saying you doubled like every year, I guess, since you first started. So, did you really start to see once you hired somebody that things really just started? I mean, I guess what was your realization once you came in? I mean, what came to mind, how it helped, I guess.
Yeah. So right away that helped production. So of course, as an owner operator, production and sales are your biggest things. And if you don't have time for one of those, obviously it's taking a hit. So that helped production, because then I could be fully aware of what's going on. As soon as she started, my phone stopped ringing. As soon as we were able to at least mitigate where my phone number was still at personally, which took a few weeks, but normal. Things are just going to happen with a click or a flip of a switch. So production ramped up, and then I started to realize I had time for sales. I was actually able to block out time for sales because she was able to set that schedule up for me.
Yep.
And then once we started to get proficient in the sales, I realized that production was behind. So I had to fill up my seats there or my hats there that I wasn't able to keep on. And then it started to come, now we're starting to see that we're getting that. I don't know, the million mark might be too much, might be a little bit holding us back this year, but again, I don't want to shoot too high and go, we're not going to make that point or mark, especially for making budgets and things like that. So we want to stay within that container, but I don't want to hand off too many hats, I guess, too early. I'm one of those guys that I do want to, I shouldn't say it, but I get scared from growth. As much as I want to keep growing and going to these places, you got to feed the people that are behind you. So let's build what we have. And as we let go of people and hire new people, it's fun to see the people that want to stay here say, well, I could take on this task temporarily because I know you're going to fill that seat soon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that makes sense. And I was thinking about like the hiring process, and I was curious to see, um, well, I guess this is a two-parter. When you're hiring right now, are you looking for people that have like that specific skill, or do you go based more of a culture fit, or both?
this is a great question. So we've had them all the way from 17 years old to 58 years old as far as employees, and every age in between there, 20s, 30s, 40s. And we were hiring for skill, then we were hiring for the age and the culture. And now we're at the point to where our hiring funnel is so good. We've waited 6 months to hire a few of the guys that we actually let go or had left because they had found that they don't fit the culture, uh, but their skills are there. So it's right now we can train somebody can at least read a tape measure, can at least show up on time, and I don't follow some orders or follow some directions. We have a playbook. You should be able to read the playbook. If you could read that playbook, you could build a deck. It might not be as quick as the other guys, and maybe need some detail fixing on the next one. But that's who we're looking for at this point. We want somebody that, yeah, I feel like I'm putting on an ad for you. This is who we need. But that's what we're looking for. Like, we're looking for somebody who wants to stick around, who's in that age of, hey, we see the growth of this company and we could be here for 5, 10 years and have fun with them, not only at work, but outside of work. And that's what they're helping us supply. So it's the culture thing right now. And I'll take a hit in production to find somebody as far as waiting, just because fixing things we found is a lot harder than just pausing.
Yeah. Yeah. It almost, I mean, what I've kind of realized, like I really want to have someone is a good culture fit, but like, I've realized that depending on a role, I have made exceptions and it's worked out too, which was kind of strange. Like a website developer is very different than like somebody that's more client facing or needs to like have that spark or that I don't know, like I guess the more bubbly, somebody that's just more like upbeat. So that's kind of been a realization for me too. It kind of just depends. There's not like a perfect way to do it, but if somebody's a drag to be around or you just don't want to work with them or they don't think they're always right, I guess those guys always get the axe or they're just not going to make it through the interview process. But
yeah. And we're pretty laid back here. So I feel like a lot of guys fit our culture. And then that comes down to, okay, can they read a tape? Can they stick around? Do they have the hustle? So it's not that we will, again, hire anybody to be trained. We are at that stage to where we've gotten bitten in the behind we hired a guy. He was younger. He was ambitious as heck to be in the trades. He didn't know where he wanted to be. Once he found another niche in the trades, you could see his demeanor drop off. He was still showing up, but it was just not there to where an older gentleman would have just said, hey, I'm leaving. And instead of, or season when you at least wish they would have done that, which most of the time, and being in the trades. And I guess what I wanted to touch on was you're the flip side of the trades. You're not so much in the yard or things like that. Granted, I'm sure you guys got people talking to clients, but where in front of a computer, you don't need the guy that's over exaggerant or making all those calls.
Yeah. Well, I did like you're talking about the playbooks. That's what we call ours too, like the SOPs, standard operating procedures. If anybody's curious or doesn't know, but so are you guys pretty strict on that? Like, are you pretty good about like creating documents to go through all of yours? I see you smiling as I'm saying this, and I can smile.
Again,
it's hard to be
like this year. This year has been not only like figuring out our numbers, figuring out our culture. We've been in the academy, or you're touching that for screen a little bit. We've been in the inner circle now for just over a year, and it's been a grueling road. But all that little work that you do in containers like the inner circle or the academy is what get you to the places you want to go. So it takes time. It takes time, and the SOPs, no, they're ever changing. What's fun too about having the right people here is I essentially made like a skeleton version of just to take our production SOP for example. I said, hey guys, here's some framework to it. Take the next 2 weeks while you're on the job site and fill it out. You know how we build things here because you've been around long enough. And 3 weeks later, we had an SOP. It was an SFD, but it's there. So now 3 months later, we've had that thing revised a couple times. It's in a nice binder. It's got a cover sheet. It's probably way more than it needs to be, but essentially it's something for the guys on site to lean on and not have to call me. But those things help out so much. And like I said, or like I was smiling, it's a grueling task that it has to be done, and a bunch more still need to be made. But those are things that over the last year, learning from that circle of people to lean on has showed me like these little things really do help. Hiring the VA, the production manual is basically a VA for the guys on site. When you think about it.
Yeah. And I was curious, because I use videos all the time, but it's over a computer screen for our playbooks. Do you guys integrate that at all? Like showing a video of like, this is how you install this is what it should look like, or pictures? I mean, how does it end up looking?
Yeah, so it's pretty much Word format for now.
Okay.
Again, being a small company, a lot of that falls on me or the VA, so it's just time. So as much as I've delegated it, I still find myself doing tasks that I probably don't need to do that take away from videos that we want to make. Because I was talking with my laborer who we were struggling through some things. For example, I was like, hey, if I had a video on this, would this help? And he was like, you just stole the words out of my mouth. That's what I want. I need some visualization. So yeah, we're working into getting QR codes so that it can go to our YouTube. It's just a matter of the time for me right now. And do I
Yeah.
hire somebody to make all this production? Do I make the production?
Yeah. I got you. And I'm curious because have you heard of Loom before? The like video software?
That's something I just stepped into. Sent our first proposal with a Loom video
Okay.
attached to it. So yeah,
Nice.
getting
Yeah, I
familiar
was
with it.
wondering if they work with like anyone that's curious, Loom is amazing for like recording videos on your screen. That's what I use it for. I don't know, I've never used it on my phone, I don't think, maybe more than once. Do you know if you can record like actual videos
Good
and
question.
do the SOPs through that way too?
I don't.
Okay.
I only have used it a couple times on my laptop. Um, but that would be awesome because maybe we just started something new.
Yeah. And I was just curious too, because like if you could record a video and then Loom has this AI feature that will create an SOP for you, like based off what you say, like it's really
Okay.
cool. So that might be nice for deck builders. I guarantee there's software out there, maybe not Loom, that'll do something like that, but might have to do some research on that. That'd be a cool one to talk about more to see to help create SOPs faster. Because as you know, it takes forever sometimes, or it feels like it does. It just seems like such a daunting task to create like a well-oiled SOP or playbook. Uh,
Yeah, and reading Eat That Frog recently is definitely one of those things. It's like, hey, these are things that you need to have if you want to get your time back. Another book by your
yeah,
time.
yeah,
It's all those little things that us business owners don't feel is important is very important.
yeah,
And that's where, again, a VA can take on a lot of that off your shoulders.
yeah,
So
yeah,
those are people that want to, that you're going back, you said, you're taking food off their plate by you limiting what you want to delegate. And then most of the time, it's things that you have to delegate.
yeah. And if they're I mean, just like your VA, I mean, she sounds like she likes getting new stuff. So you're kind of, people want to learn new things, and it can just because you hate to do it, there's people that would actually enjoy doing it, even if it's
I,
hard to believe.
yeah, I think a lot of people have the wrong mindset as far as going about that, where if I teach somebody something new, they could go to the neighbor and get hired by them. Where around here, we try to say, right, first thing I say to people is, hey, you want to be here? Cool, we love it. As soon as you have a better opportunity, take it. Of course, tell me about it. I'd love to keep you here, because that's why we hired you, but take it. So if you could teach somebody something, a new skill, and it's going to advance them in their life,
Yeah,
allow that, because that you right there are limiting them to what they could have. And maybe they go somewhere and they come back because you have such a great culture, or maybe they
yeah,
learn something from them and it's enhancing you now. So
or
you never
tell.
know how that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. And another piece I want to talk about. This is real near and dear to my heart. Personal development. We're part of the same group where that's a huge piece of it. Like getting after it, and doing exercises, and working out every day, things like that. I would love to touch on that more, like how personal development, making a better version of yourself, that kind of thing, has translated into business, even when logically it might not make sense to some people, I
Yeah.
guess.
The Well, at the last inner circle, I won't mention their name, but they had said they were with their group of their company group, and one of the gentlemen said, hey, Alex, you know, tell me how lifting weights helps your business. And the gentleman who was trying to rebuttal that at the table laughed. And I said, it's not so much about lifting weights, it's and working out every day. How you see some of us, that's just the discipline that we grow within the discipline, really. You just want to pick up another hobby that makes you unfortunately hurt a little more or something. But what it is once I was able to work on myself, I didn't give myself any time. And if I wasn't giving myself any time, I wasn't giving the people that I loved or the people that loved me the time. I was only just trying to grow this little baby that I had of a business and sell more and work more. And it was always for them. It was, I'm doing this, I'm getting this done for you guys. I'll be home soon. Soon is 3 hours later.
Yep.
And it wasn't until our good friend Chris Green was, you got to work on the business man before you can work on the business plan. And back before Inner Circle, you had to essentially go through this program of LDX to get into the Inner Circle. So I had to find myself. I had to figure out what I needed to do. And then I could find the keys to, and it wasn't so much finding the keys. Anybody could find this information. It's when you have that key, being able to use it properly. And once I started reaching into myself, it started to bleed out into my family. They started to recognize, they started to change for the better. And these changes weren't me yelling at them to be better. It's just there was something inside of them yelling, saying, I got to change. Or it just became normal to do these new things that we were doing. So, and then tenfold, you start to find that when you start to show that a little bit, and even it's not about posting it on social media and being at the gym every day. A lot of those people posting that type of stuff, at least that I'm with, are doing that to keep the people around them accountable, or they keep themselves accountable, saying, hey guys, like, I'm here. I told you I was going to be here. I'm here.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. I guess where I was going with that is you start to grow that culture. You start to bring the people around you that want to be around you, and because you're putting yourself around the people that you want to be around. So it's fun. It's really it's fun it's a game. It's a daily game that if I know I slipped up, I know the changes to make it a better day tomorrow. I know how to control my actions now from something that might have ticked me off just a few short years ago. I mean, I'm coming on a little bit over coming on 2 years of really working on this stuff, and it's a daily habit. Have I drifted? Have I slipped? Plenty. Like it's we're human, but knowing where you've been, where you could go, and what's possible is what gets you where you want to, what you want.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. And I think something that was a big realization for me is like, if you actually sat down and compared yourself, the version of you that wakes up at 4 or 5 a.m., whatever, works out and then starts your day versus the guy that like wakes up at the like very last second before you have to get your kids up or whatever you got to do for the morning. Like compare what you accomplished in the beginning of that day versus the other one. I'm sure it's a humongous difference. Like, and just the day in general.
Oh yeah.
Me.
Yeah, those days specifically where it's Sunday I slept in and Monday I'm already having lunch by 9:30, and you're like, you know,
Yeah.
you notice for sure.
Yeah. And the confidence piece, I mean, like if you look better, you're going to feel better. I mean, everyone's had those, whether you're skinny or you're a big guy, like everyone's had that self-conscious feeling. So, I mean, if you go into a room or you go to the pool or whatever, and you feel confident in yourself, I mean, it is a huge impact on, I guess, how you think about yourself, how the confidence you have walking in any room, with business too, it kind of translates for that. So,
yeah.
All right. So what is your routine? Like what, maybe you can break down kind of what you do personal development wise. Maybe your routine would help somebody that's trying to get more into it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a big thing for me, or I think big advice that I would say for a lot of people, I was going to see if I could pull up my schedule, but we don't need to bore people with that. I guess recently something that said to me was fill in your white space. That's huge. And starting small is what I was going to say first. So starting small, change one thing, one time, whether it's something small, brush your teeth, make your bed for 1 week, or a little bit bigger. Maybe you make 3 sales calls this week that were different, and that you do 3 of those in a week. Starting small is huge. So recently I drifted. I'll give you an example. I drifted and I wasn't going to the gym as much. We had moved a gym into our garage. Well, it's cold here in the Midwest. I started procrastinating. Everything's cold, blah, blah, blah. And I started going back to our local gym. I fired up the membership, said, let's go back. It's taken me a few weeks to get in the rhythm. First couple of days I'd show up, step in the sauna, take a shower, get going. Next couple of days I would step on the treadmill. Now it's progressing to the point to where 3 days a week, I'm there every day. I walk on the treadmill at least for half an hour, 1 mile. We were in this 100-mile ruck challenge, so had to bust the rest of that out. 3 days a week, I'm doing some sort of weight training. I'm not going as hard as I may have in the past. I'm not trying to make some sort of major physique. I just want to keep myself moving, especially since I'm off the bags. I'm not moving as much as I used to be. I got to make sure that I can keep up with my small kids. So usually by 7 a.m., I'm out and at the job site with the guys, doing a little meeting, dropping things off, and then on with my day. So that's, PM stuff, sales stuff, whatever it needs to be. But that first power hour or my first 2 to 3 hours in the morning are sacred to me. That's the time that I get. Nobody's up that needs to bother me or call me. Nobody's tugging at my chain. I can read my book. I could do whatever I want. So I don't have to go work out. Again, what I'm saying is getting yourself to the gym. Maybe it's just the parking lot for the first week. You read a book, like just getting yourself to one step closer changes your mindset over time. And 24 hours goes way too quick. So if you're procrastinating on, I can't change something, just try it. Just try it.
Yeah. I like that. Like to sit in the parking lot, like just go in there, increase it, do things that will make it likely that you will do what you really want. Like if it's the tiniest little step, I mean, a lot of people, if they get to the parking lot, good chance they're going to go in. Or if you say, hey, I'm only going to go 5 minutes on the treadmill walking, and then I'm leaving, like, fine, commit to that. And just keep doing that, because at least you're getting there, you're building that habit. Because it's going to take a while to like actually make that feel like it's a solidified habit or, piece of your routine. So that works.
Win in the moment's huge. Win in the moment. I guess that just popped in my head there, Alex, is like making sure that you can like not only win the moment, but set yourself up for being able to win the moment and knowing like, hey, what's me in 20 minutes going to appreciate right now? So, and that could be 20 minutes, 20 days, 20 years, breaking it down to that type of math in your head for a guy, simple guy math, really starts to put some pressure on your brain and start thinking like, well, I did that math the other day and my kid's going to be this age and he's going to beat me up or throw me around or whatever. Or am I even going to be there? Am I even going to be there for these kids when I've had parents that have already passed away, when I have, other people in the family that don't look so great? It's like, how do I change my tree? How do I change this? And it starts now, next 20 minutes. What can I do? And maybe, and again, maybe that's picking up around the house, the simple things. It just had craziness for Christmas. Let's go pick up the wrapping paper. Let's do something that we're not feeling motivated to do, but that snowballs things. So
yeah, I love that you said that, because that Andy Frisella is like my guy. I freaking love him. He's like what got everything going for me, and he's just like, pretty much whatever he says, I'm always listening. But him and his brother are doing a podcast, and they're talking about exactly what you're saying, like starting small, and they were talking about like the most like tiniest little things ever, and it was like picking up something around the house you normally wouldn't do, and like that's ingrained in my head. Like the first thing I ever did was like putting my shoes on the rack, like getting a rack, making sure it's like on there and not having a pile of shoes. So I was like, all right, like that's the commitment. I ever take off my shoes, no matter what I'm doing, like just put them in the rack. And like when I started doing that, it kind of, like you said, snowballed. And, maybe you're picking up like a leaf that the dog dragged in off the floor where normally you would walk past it, or your wife would pick it up or something like that. And it was just kind of weird to see how much that helped and like helped propel me into better habits in other areas. So like Alex is saying, like if there's anything, think about like what you normally would take the lazy route out on, no matter how small, and actually do it. And that can help in a lot of other ways, and build momentum, which is what we all really need.
Yeah, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything.
Yeah.
And I repeat that to myself all the time. Like, hey, lean over and pick that piece up. It's going to lead you to saying hello to somebody, which, they seen you get in your truck, and there's how it leads to business. Wow, I don't need a deck, but my neighbor does. Like people don't realize that. Rewind all the way to the episode. Those small things count.
Yeah,
They do. They really do. Saying hi to somebody. You've been saying you've been leaving your wife notes for the past week. that's going to generate into you saying hello to some stranger or being nicer to your employees and attracting the people that you want to have around.
Yeah. Yeah. Being
And
ready for those next big moments, that's why you
yeah,
can prepare for them, I guess. All right. So last thing I want to touch on, you were talking about like how I know I can tell you were, the community is a big deal for you, and you like to give back and things like that. So I'd love to hear kind of how you have used that. I mean, to strengthen your brand. Also, you just want to do good things. So if you could touch on that, like the community giving, that'd be great.
yeah, yeah. I think for us, uh, like it's not so much about the company as much as it is about the company and us to make sales and hire people and grow. We want to be here for the community. So being there, and we found that showing how we want to be here for a long time is giving back to the community. Some examples that we found by doing that is being part of our local, like a high-end local magazine, and being at the events that they're throwing, being in that magazine and just being part of it. One of the bigger keys was we had found this referral group through another contractor that I'm friends with, and it's a referral group. Really, it's more than that. And we give back to events. We meet with each other weekly. We've grown really like this separate family. Now, are they 15 other salesmen essentially for me that I don't have to pay? Yes, but they are trusted by me. I trust them. And then they're all businesses that are in my community. So we're all in town here. If somebody's throwing an event or we know something's going on, we're there. It's fun. Like I hear people ask, we see your trucks with an S all over the town and your trailers. I have 2 trailers and 1 truck. And a lot of times people see our signs out. They see people with our sweatshirts. We try to give clients and friends and family sweatshirts and things like that. We try to be top on social media. When I say top, just posting and being there live on our stories and stuff like that. So it's fun to potentially be the company that would be in town. I go, that's the deck guy. Hey, like we want to be the company that like we know we do the parade every year in town, the 4th of July parade. Like people are anticipating to see our float and things like that. It becomes fun. So it's not just about going into their backyard, creating this beautiful space for them to enjoy for years to come. It's remember when they gave us that shirt and we saw them at the parade and they bought ice cream and it's not the company, it's the family that they've grown around in. And we know Josh and we know Dean so well that like we're gonna buy them dinner and Christine is a past friend from 20 years ago. Like that's what being part of this company and the community means to us.
Yeah.
That helps that answer that
No,
question.
no, and I liked how, I mean, the one very subtle thing you said, but like, oh, that's the deck guy. Like being known as the guy for that problem or whatever it is freaking huge too. Like just
And
that's what I mean. That's your brand basically. Like you're the guy that builds decks, builds nice decks.
yeah, like the forwarding or throwing it even further into family, like TL goes to Thayer Lynn Carpentry is who we were. Well, that's my kids' middle names. So right there, like people are even more drawn to that. It's family, it's community, it's
Yeah,
local. And it's not so much to put a chip on my shoulder and say, oh, I'm the deck guy. It's that like, hey, going back to what I said, that's who that is. We recognize who that is. We might have a stone patio in the back. We'll never call him. Great. I just love seeing that you're outside. Like that's
yeah,
why we started the company.
yeah, yeah. And I will. One thing I'll have to add on the marketing side because that's my thing. But everything he's doing is phenomenal. Just make sure because they will eventually when they need you, go and Google you. Make sure you got
Oh
some
yeah.
views. Make sure you got a good website to back all that up because otherwise they I think I've said this study on the podcast before. It's something like 80, forget the exact number, 84 or some percent of people trust online reviews more than what their friends or family say. So you gotta do it all, I guess. All the things you're doing in the community, make sure you do have that backup because that can, I guess, throw a wrench in their plans too. So
Yeah, that was huge. I would say it was a positive when people would say, hey, I've seen your trucks and stuff around town. It's like I've got 1 truck, you see me running everywhere, or the guys in it, whatever it may be. But we put the branding out there with the website. We're clean with our trucks. We have a presentation with like how we look, how things are rolled out. Um, And then it speaks in on our reviews on Google. You click from Google, you go to our website, it's clean. Like, yeah, so it was important for us to not only grow quality work and that, the production might have slowed down, but as well, like turn around and say, oh, okay, like I see the background of this guy and it matches what is in the yard. So that was big. So we wanted to build this company on truth and honesty from the start. And does it take some money up front to have a nice website? Of course. Does it take a lot of time and effort on my end that I didn't pay for or to get paid for to get great reviews? Yeah, but that's the part of the sacrifice in having a business that you want to be a staple in the community.
Yeah. And it will for sure be a good return on the investment. I mean, there's not many better you can get than that. If you have good reviews, good website, I mean, that's where most people are going. So if you want to think it in that way, not just as a pain, like it's definitely something that'll make you solid money, that would be good for that too. But yeah, Alex, I mean, this was awesome. I know we're getting a little bit long here, but I appreciate you going through and answering, going through all the stuff, all the questions that I had, being so
It's a pleasure, man.
Yeah, man, it was fun. And it was good for the day after Christmas where I'm, just a little sad. I'm a big Christmas guy. I like, I like Christmas, and be sad to take down the tree and all that. And, with the kids, my kids are, my oldest just turned 3. So this is the first year he even really like understood what he was getting, excited for it. So that was fun for me. But going forward with the Fence and Deck Mastery podcast, we're back on our rhythm. So we're going to keep doing weekly podcasts and bringing on guests, and I'll probably start doing some ones by myself too. I got some stuff I want to cover, just some things to highlight that I think will help contractors going into the busy season. And since this is the time where everyone's kind of prepping and figuring out what they want to do for the new year. But that's kind of what we'll be doing. And if it was helpful to you, our reviews could definitely use some more reviews. And if you want to leave something there, if it was valuable. If not, don't need to. I only want actual honest opinions. But also subscribing to the podcast if you're not already, that's a big help for us too. And if you do have any questions with marketing, anything you want to discuss for 2025, getting your website redone or updated, or if you need more leads, if you have a big goal that you want to hit, we're happy to talk about different options for that. And yeah, that's about it. Alex, appreciate you coming on here, man. And we'll be talking a lot here shortly.
Hey, I got to put in a little testimonial here and interrupt you there, but your podcast is great, man. You've grown on almost 50 episodes, I think. And I've listened to a good amount of probably half of them by this point.
Nice.
That Jill's was a great one. How she could really help, or the company there. You've got a lot of great podcasts on here, Alex, with great guests that people aren't utilizing. So get on here, listen to some other episodes from Alex and the team over at Fence and Deck, and they'll help you out. So thanks, Alex. It's been a pleasure, man. Appreciate
I appreciate questions. That. I like what you said there too. I mean, we try to bring on guests that like have certain expertise, and there's no shortage of guys like yourself that are successful. So I mean, the biggest growth is going to come from learning from guys that have already done what you want. And there's plenty of episodes like that. So, I appreciate the feedback on that. I'm glad. And especially if you're listening to half the episodes, it means you're liking them, it wasn't one and done.
Yeah, no, you've got great questions. You got great guests. And I would say anytime you need us in the future, man, we're here to special guests, questions, whatever.
Yeah.
It's fun. Absolutely. It's a lot of fun to be involved. So
yeah,
thanks, man.
Absolutely, man. All right. Well, yeah. Merry Christmas and take care.
Merry Christmas. Take it easy.